Hello, John Paval here with Access Arts Live, providing the weekly roundup of live streams of organ recitals, which we were able to find for you. I think we have 7 organ recitals for you this week. Two of the most exciting ones are from the Bergamo International Organ Festival and from the Eccles Organ Festival in Salt Lake City. But we also have a stream of the weekly recitals coming from I think it's St. James in Toronto, and then from the Temple Church in London, and then from the Truro Cathedral up in Cornwall, and then also on Sunday from the St. Eustache Church in the heart of Paris, from which I am live streaming this month because I'm in Paris for the month of October. Eat your hearts out. Anyway, so let's get right to it. It's going to take a while because we have so many. So we're into this for a while, my friends, for me to give you all the dope on what's coming up this week. All I have to do is open up my notes, which, one can well wonder, how come my notes weren't already open for this? And that's an excellent question. Okay, we start with today, but it's later today, about 6 hours later today, actually. The St. James Cathedral in Toronto will be live streaming an organ recital by Jonas Hellesoe from Denmark. That's at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Which is 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And that's right. And 7 o'clock in the evening here in Europe. We will give you the organ specs, the link both to it. It's on YouTube. And to the organ specs, Jonas Hellesoe, we do not have the program of what Jonas Hellesoe is playing. I can tell you that he graduated from the Royal Academy of Music in 2017, then subsequently studied in Berlin in 2017 and 18. He's the organist at the Riskov Church in Denmark. The organ might interest you. It has 87 ranks and 67 speaking stops over 4 manuals and 6 divisions, 5,101 pipes. It's an S.R. Warren organ from 1863 and 1869, rebuilt by Cassavant Frères in 1936 and 1966 and 67. And then touched up again in 1999, 2000 by Andrew Mead. That's about what I have to tell you for today. I invite you to tune in and listen to it if you like to listen to organ music, but I can't tell you what he's going to be playing because they haven't told us, and we've asked. Okay, then tomorrow at the Temple Church in London, it's Maria Greco at 1:15 London time, which is 2:15 all over the rest of Europe. This is one of the reasons Brexit happens anyway. 8:15 in the morning on the East Coast and unwatchable 5:15 in the morning on the West Coast, unless you're in a monastery up doing your morning prayers, and 10:15 in the evening down under in Australia. That's also on YouTube, free of charge, as all of these organ recitals are. It's a Harrison & Harrison limited organ built and installed by them in 1954, 4-manual organ complete with 3 32-foot stops, modeled on drawings of the Temple's Father Smith organ of 1688. As for Maria Greco, once again, I don't have her program, although we wrote to them and asked for the program, what she'd be playing. But you know what I can do? I can give you a picture of the Temple Church organ. At least I'm giving you something beyond just some guy talking about this. Where is the Temple Church? Here it is. Here's the organ. There you go. If you're in full screen, maybe that shows you something about this Harrison & Harrison organ. As for Maria Greco, well, I can show you a picture of Maria Greco too. You want to see her? There she is at the organ. She's relatively young, Italian born, studied at the Music Conservatory in Cosenza, but also studied at the Istituto Pontificio di Musica Sacra in Rome, the papal Institute of Sacred Music. And she got a master's degree in organ performance at Berlin University in 2021. She does concerts around Italy, Germany, and the Netherlands mostly. And she's a teacher at the she's now a teacher at the conservatory in Cosenza, where I think she studied. So once again, when they don't give us the information about what they're playing, we can't tell you what they're playing. But that changes starting on Thursday, when you can go up to Cornwall and hear James Orford on the Father Willis organ at the Truro Cathedral. And there's James himself, not at the Truro Cathedral organ. This is Thursday at 1:10 London time, 2:10 European time, 8:10 in the morning on the East Coast, and unwatchable 5:10 in the morning on the West Coast, and 10:10 p.m. down under in Australia. James will be playing Bach's Prelude and Fugue in B minor, and Charles Villiers Stanford's Organ Sonata number 2 in G minor, Opus 151, which is also known as his Eroica. James is a hotshot. He's a prize-winning organist and pianist based in London. He's the organist at St. Paul's Cathedral, for God's sake. For heaven's sake, I should say. He also plays at Eton College and Westminster Cathedral on occasion, graduated from the Royal Academy of Music. He has a busy performance schedule, and he also does a lot of choir accompaniments. And in that role as a choir accompanist, he's done a lot of recordings, choral recordings of works by people like Longley, Vaughan Williams, Coleridge Taylor, and so on and so forth. So that should be a very interesting recital, and you know what he's going to be playing. Isn't that nice? It's just onwards and upwards from there, because then we move on to the Bergamo International Organ Festival in Bergamo, Italy, and it's Martin Schmeding, who is German. Doesn't he look German? He's a German organist, and he's going to be playing at the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, because in this festival they move around from one church to another on a Vegetti Bossi organ from 1915, restored in 1992 by the firm Evili Ruffati in Padova. Now, actually, no, I think there was a first restoration by Ruffati in 1948, or the 1915 organ may well have been replaced. It was significantly worked on by Ruffati in 48 and then restored in 1992. It's an electrical action organ, movable console, 361 note keyboards going from C1 to C6, and a 32 notes radiating pedal board going from C1 to G3. It's what's really interesting to me is the difference you're going to see between the kind of choices that Schmeding makes here for the Bergamo Festival, so very European, contrasted with the kind of choices that are going to be made by Brenda Portman in her Sunday evening organ recital for the Eccles Organ Festival, because they are so radically different choices between the two of them. Schmeding has chosen to honor French composer Franz Schmidt on the occasion of the 150th anniversary of his birth. So he'll start out playing a Prelude and Fugue in D major by Franz Schmidt, whom, if you know his work, it's his Hallelujah Prelude and Fugue from 1928. And then he'll be playing different pieces by major composers going down the list. Beethoven's Allegretto from Symphony No. 7 in A major. Brahms's Herzlich tut mich verlangen from 11 choral preludes, opus 122. Bruckner's Scherzo from Symphony No. 7 in E major. Mahler's Adagietto from Symphony No. 5 in C sharp minor from 1902. And then Franz Schmidt's Toccata in C major from 1924. Robert Fuchs' Fantasy in E minor, opus 91 from 1911. And Franz Schmidt's Variations and Fugue on his own theme in D major from 1924. Schmeding himself is surely going to be able to do a great job with all of this stuff. He's done recordings of Brahms, Mendelssohn, Schmidt, Max Reger, and Thilo Medic. He is the distinguished professor for organ and artistic director of the European Organ Academy at the University of Music and Theatre in Leipzig, which is a big deal, a guest professor at the Royal Conservatory of Music in Birmingham, England, and a professor of organ at the Royal College of Music in London. In 2017, Schmeding was named Professor of the Year in Germany out of 2,500 nominated German university teachers. So I commend this to you. We're going to give you the link to that, and that you can get a lot more detail both about the specs of the organ and about Schmeding himself, because we will give you the link to the program. And there's a long, detailed festival program giving you more information than you could even possibly ask for. Okay, now that is at 9 o'clock European time, which is on Friday night, which is 3 o'clock on the East Coast and noon on the West Coast. Very watchable. It's unwatchable at 5 a.m. in Australia. And and it's free of charge on YouTube. So we'll give you the link to that. And we can tell you that Music Web International said about Martin Schmeding, his playing is superlatively good enough to allow you to forget there is someone working the instrument. So I'm sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. I'm doing this on my computer, and unfortunately my WhatsApp is also on the computer, and somebody's trying to call me at the worst possible time. Anyway, so that's at 9 o'clock European time, noon and 3 o'clock on the West Coast and the East Coast. Now, at 1 o'clock on the West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, and 10 o'clock in Europe, an hour after Martin Schmeding has begun, Canon Martin Green is playing the weekly organ recital at St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral in San Diego. And that is one of the finest organs in the southwestern United States, and certainly the best one in San Diego in any event. And Canon Martin Green's live streams recitals are always highly interesting. He very often will bring in early American composers you're not going to hear anywhere else, or not very often. And but we never get in advance what the program is. I may be able to tell you that on Friday when we're doing our weekend update and bring you up to date on it, but I may not. And as for Martin Green himself, he's won awards as a performer from the American Guild of Organists. He's appeared on NPR's Pipe Dreams Live. He's taught 18th century counterpart, which is not all that common among American organists. And he's an instrumentalist in the Baroque Music Festival. And he's very articulate, and his recitals are always highly interesting. So if and when Schmeding takes a break, an intermission in his concert, it would be a bright idea to switch over to the YouTube link that we give you for Martin Green's recital and just find out what he's up to, because you might want to listen to some of it. Then again, you might not, but I give you that choice. Then we move ahead to Sunday, and we're still going here, and we've been going almost 15 minutes now, and there's two more recitals to tell you about. So the next one is on Sunday. It's this young guy, Afonso Torres. He's a Portuguese guy who studied in Porto at the Music Conservatory, then studied at the Hochschule für Musik und Theater in Hamburg. And he'll be playing at the St. Eustache Church at 5 o'clock on Sunday, 11 o'clock with European time. That's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And 1 o'clock late Sunday night, down under in Australia. He'll be playing Marcel Dupre's Prelude and Fugue in G major, or C majeur, as the French call it. Louis Viern's Meditation on Three Improvisations, and also an impromptu on an extract from some pièces de fantaisie by Louis Vierne, and also the first choral or chorale by César Franck. So Torres is a student of at the Paris Conservatory still. But I commend that to you. It's a Vanden Louvre organ made by some Dutch people, which they're desperately trying to raise money to refurbish. And finally, then we move on to last but not the least of these concerts, Brenda Portman, who will be playing on the magnificent organ at the church of the Cathedral of the Madeleine in Salt Lake City. Let me show you the manuals of that. This is what she's sitting down to. And here is the organ itself as set in the back of that church. Let me run down for you what Brenda Portman is going to be playing and see how utterly different it is at this American Organ Festival, way out west, how different it is from what Schmeding is playing in Bergamo. She'll start out playing a piece of her own, a fanfare, chorale, and exultation, which she just wrote like a year ago. Then she'll play a Bach Sonata No. 4 in E minor. She'll play Giuseppe Guammi, Canzone Decima Settima, and Toccata del Secondo Tono. And now, that could be played by Schmeding, sure. But then she'll be playing a Petit Triptyque, Opus 93 by Rachel Lauren, who just passed away last year. And there was a previous collaboration between Brenda Portman and Rachel Loring earlier in Brenda's career. So there's a story behind her playing that. And a Petit Triptyque, a triptych, if you don't know, it's one of these multi-paneled sort of liturgical paintings, which will tell the story of like the crucifixion and the resurrection or something. And each panel, and they fold. Sometimes it's on wood, sometimes it's the panels are within metal frames, and they fold, and each panel tells a part of the story. Then she'll play Prière or Prayer by Joseph Jongen, and Adwamis by a Wind and Unwind by a composer whom I don't know, called Adwamis, who's born in 1953. And then she'll be playing a piece by Ian Farrington, who's contemporary, born in 1977. It's called Lay My Burden Down, and it includes themes from that song, from songs like Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child, Steal Away, and Every Time I Feel the Spirit. So there's much more of a mix of sources of inspiration between Americans and Europeans, and between contemporaries and traditional here, and including even her own work. About her work that she starts out with, Fanfare, Chorale, and Exultation, was composed in 2023 at the request of Elisa Bickers, who was the organist at the Village Presbyterian Church in Prairie Village, Kansas, for its 75th anniversary. You can't get more intensely American than this. A contemporary American composer, a woman at that, composing a piece for another woman organist in the middle of that great American continent. Brenda herself has a dual career now, both as a concert organist and composer. She's the resident organist at the Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church in Cincinnati. She's executive director of that church's renowned organ concert series, which I learned about today looking this up. So we'll be looking to find out if they're live streaming their concert series, because we'd love to add it to the others. And she teaches organ at Xavier University in Cincinnati. She got educated in the Midwest, in a narrow range of the Midwest, that northern industrial Midwest. Her B music at Wheaton College, her master's at Northwestern, and her doctorate at the University of Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. She was in October 2014, she notes in her bio, she was the only female American organist to compete in the Canadian International Organ Competition in Montreal, which is a big deal, but I don't think it's live streamed. And that led her to work with the composer Rachel Lauren, and they recorded an album called Pilgrimages, Organ Music of Rachel Lauren, inspired by sacred themes. I wouldn't be surprised if the piece she's playing in this concert was one of those. Her own compositions, you can find them published by Sacred Music Press and Augsburg Fortress, and also by Paraclete Selah and Wayne Leopold editions. We will give you the link to her own website, because it's certainly worth looking it up. Listen, it's gone over 20 minutes, but I had 7 organ recitals to tell you about, and 2 of them at big festivals where I really wanted to give you a lot of detail. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. I want to encourage you, if you do, to subscribe to us on YouTube or Facebook, but especially on YouTube, because we'd love to have more subscribers there, so that we can maybe one day monetize. We do all the work. If you're interested in organ live streams, all you have to do is come to us, is subscribe to us, and you will be sure to get notified of and receive these live streams I do. But we also publish, other individual notices during the week, reminders of, well, there's this organ recital happening, or there's this one, especially for the big ones like the Bergamo International Festival and the Eccles Organ Festival. We'll surely put out an additional notice the day of, so that all our followers and subscribers will know about them. And know this, when you tune in to a live organ recital, that organist is putting his heart, mind, and soul in an act of love to create truth and experience of truth and beauty for you to enjoy in the moment, together with him and everybody else in the audience. And no recording can ever accomplish that. That's why I'm so passionate about live streams of the performing arts. Thanks for listening. If you've listened all the way through to this, enjoy these organ recitals, and may they be inspiring and uplifting for you.